From the first days of humankind's rebirth in the nuclear wasteland, stories have drifted like dust through the ruins. Tales whispered beside campfires, told by scavengers and soldiers alike, of strange lights in the night sky, of ruins scorched by no earthly weapon, of beings that did not die by bullet or flame. Yet these are not merely stories born of trauma and superstition. They echo something older, something that reaches back to the pre-war world, when humanity still gazed upward in curiosity rather than fear. The enigma of extraterrestrial life has persisted throughout human history, and in the world of Fallout, the evidence is scattered across centuries of war, secrecy, and survival. The earliest records of alien contact are not tales from the wasteland, but relics of an age when the world still turned in the light of neon and progress, when the hum of atomic engines filled the sky, and men in lab coats whispered about new frontiers. Even then, as the United States and China tightened their grips on atomic supremacy, there existed a quieter race, not between nations, but between humanity's understanding and the limits of the unknown. The pre-war decades, shaped by paranoia and ambition, birthed a fascination with the stars that mirrored mankind's reckless push toward nuclear annihilation. Government archives and classified projects, later uncovered by wandering historians, Brotherhood of Steel scribes, and lone wastelanders alike, reveal a pattern of encounters that defy conventional explanation. The United States government, under the veil of national defense, monitored and suppressed information related to unexplained aerial phenomena, even as it accelerated research into technologies that bore uncanny similarities to what would later be identified as alien weaponry. These parallels were no coincidence. In the dusty remnants of laboratories and military bunkers, fragments of strange alloys, power cells, and circuitry too advanced for their time were found among the ruins, suggesting that humanity's leap into the atomic age may have been spurred by something not entirely of this earth. In the decades before the Great War, reports of unidentified craft filled pre-war airwaves. Civilian pilots spoke of saucer-shaped vehicles darting across the horizon at impossible speeds. Tabloids speculated wildly, but government agencies were far from indifferent. Documents later recovered from the ruins of Washington, D.C., indicated the presence of classified programs aimed at investigating and reverse engineering alien technology, a venture known to few by the codename Majestic 12. Publicly, the government denied everything. Privately, scientists and military officials struggled to comprehend the physics behind artifacts that seemed to defy their understanding of atomic energy. In time, these same principles appeared subtly woven into human innovation, plasma weaponry, microfusion cells, and even elements of robotics that surfaced through companies like Robco and General Atomics. Though such technologies were officially credited to human genius, their uncanny resemblance to alien artifacts uncovered later by post-war explorers casts a shadow of doubt. Could it be that mankind's own destructive brilliance was born from an unacknowledged debt to visitors from beyond the stars? The question has haunted every historian who has studied the remnants of this strange exchange. When the bombs finally fell on the 23rd of October 2077, the sky itself became a theater of apocalyptic fire. For many, it was the end of the world. For others, it was a cleansing flame that reduced the lives of nations to ash. Yet amid that global holocaust, some claimed to have seen more than just mushroom clouds. Across the scattered testimonies of survivors, found in diaries, holotapes, and oral traditions passed down through generations, are accounts of objects streaking through the heavens before the detonations moving in patterns that defied the dumb chaos of ballistic missiles. Whether these were alien craft observing humanity's self-destruction or simply misinterpreted weapons of war remains unknown, but the coincidence is striking. Even as civilization extinguished itself, the watchers from beyond appeared to have remained, hovering silently above the dying world. Some theorists among the Brotherhood of Steel later speculated that the aliens, known to the few who had encountered them as the Zetans, might have played a passive role in humanity's final war, observers studying the culmination of mankind's self-made extinction event, or perhaps scavengers awaiting the collapse of resistance to harvest what remained. Centuries after the Great War, as survivors emerged from their vaults and settlements began to form amid the ruins, evidence of these extraterrestrial beings continued to surface. The most definitive encounter occurred in the Capital Wasteland, where a downed spacecraft was discovered by a wanderer, an event that would later lead to the revelation of the Mothership Zeta, a massive alien vessel orbiting Earth for centuries. This ship, an artifact of both terror and wonder, confirmed beyond all doubt that extraterrestrial life not only existed, but had been observing humanity across ages. Within its sterile metallic corridors, the bodies of abducted humans from multiple eras, soldiers from the American Civil War, scientists from the pre-war era, and wastelanders from post-war decades, lay preserved in stasis, their lives stolen by a species whose motives remain as inscrutable as their technology. The artifacts recovered from that vessel, including energy weapons, cryogenic stasis pods, and molecular teleporters, shattered all prior understanding of technology in the post-war world. Yet, despite the overwhelming evidence, few outside the witnesses of that event would ever comprehend its scope. The Mothership Zeta incident became another whispered legend in a world already saturated with the unbelievable. But the enigma does not end with that singular event. Across every known region of the wasteland, fragments of alien presence persist. In the Mojave Desert, where rumors of saucer crashes echo the hysteria of Old World Roswell. In the Commonwealth, where explorers have found the smoking wreckage of alien ships and the dying remains of their pilots. And in Appalachia, where ancient myths of the Flatwoods Monster and the Mothman intertwine unsettlingly with alien-like phenomena. These recurring sightings across centuries suggest a sustained extraterrestrial presence rather than isolated incursions. The Zetans, as observed through the recovered technology and biological remains, are a small, grey-skinned species with oversized craniums and luminous black eyes, a form so consistent with humanity's ancient depictions of aliens that it suggests either direct influence on pre-war cultural imagery or a strange coincidence of universal biology. Their weapons, compact and devastatingly efficient, rely on principles of energy manipulation far beyond human capability. Yet even these artifacts appear to be only tools of a larger civilization, hinting at an empire or network extending deep into the void. Scholars within the Brotherhood of Steel, particularly those stationed in the Capital and the West Coast chapters, have long debated the significance of these encounters. Some assert that the Zetans are passive observers, cataloging humanity's rise and fall as one might study a failed experiment. Others argue they are harvesters, abducting humans for genetic material or for purposes still unknown. A more radical faction within the Brotherhood proposes that alien technology seeded human progress long before the war, suggesting that mankind's discovery of atomic fission and fusion was not a triumph of human intellect, but the unintended consequence of reverse engineering alien debris. If this theory holds any truth, then the apocalypse itself may have been an indirect result of alien intervention, an irony both tragic and cosmic in scope, yet evidence remains elusive. While the Mothership Zeta and scattered crash sites offer physical proof, the broader narrative of alien intent remains concealed behind the silence of the stars. To the average wastelander, the idea of alien visitors remains little more than a campfire story, one among many in a world already haunted by ghouls, mutants, and ghosts of the old world. Still, the persistence of these tales across disparate regions and cultures suggests that something genuine lies beneath the superstition. Merchants in the Mojave speak of strange lights that follow caravans across the desert at night. Settlers in the Commonwealth recount hearing humming frequencies that interfere with Pip-Boy radios near certain crash sites. Hunters in Appalachia tell of seeing figures with elongated limbs and glimmering eyes watching from the tree line before vanishing without a sound. These independent accounts, scattered across thousands of miles and centuries of separation, converge on a single truth: something not human continues to watch from above. In the modern wasteland era, if such a word as modern can even be applied, scientific institutions are few, and organized research into extraterrestrial matters is nearly non-existent. The Brotherhood hoards alien artifacts in their bunkers, fearful of their misuse. Independent researchers, often mocked as cultists or lunatics, risk their lives scavenging for proof. Among the most devoted are the Hubologists, descendants of a pre-war religious movement that believed enlightenment could be achieved through communion with beings from beyond the stars. Though their practices are derided by most as pseudo-scientific mysticism, their archives contain references to alien transmissions detected before the Great War, suggesting that humanity's fascination with extraterrestrials may have bordered on worship. Whether coincidence or evidence of genuine contact, the Hubologists' records provide yet another thread in the tangled web of alien influence on human destiny. Thus, the enigma of the stars remains unsolved, not because evidence is lacking, but because the truth may be too vast, too incomprehensible, for the fractured remnants of humanity to grasp. Each discovery, from the crash sites of the Mojave to the silent halls of Mothership Zeta, reveals only fragments of a much larger story. What drives the Zetans to study humanity, to harvest its people and technology, remains an unanswered question echoing across centuries. Perhaps they are scientists themselves, documenting the folly of a species that annihilated itself with stolen fire. Or perhaps they are merely scavengers, indifferent to human suffering, drawn by the spoils of a world reduced to ruins. Whatever their purpose, their shadow stretches across every era of Fallout's history, from the paranoid days of pre-war America to the desolate dawn of the post-war world. Humanity, in its arrogance and fear, has always looked to the stars for salvation or conquest. But in the world that followed the Great War, those same stars looked back, cold and unblinking, bearing witness to the rise and fall of a species that reached for the heavens and found only its own reflection staring back. Long before the world descended into fire and ash, the United States of America stood at the apex of technological ambition and cultural anxiety, a nation captivated both by its own inventions and by the mysteries of the skies above, where countless sightings of unidentified flying objects punctuated the otherwise orderly hum of pre-war life, reflecting an obsession that grew from the earliest days of the 20th century through the decades that would culminate in the cataclysm of 2077. During these years, the skies were a canvas for both wonder and fear, as reports of strange, disc-shaped craft moving at impossible velocities, filtered into newspapers, local radio broadcasts, and eventually the classified channels of the military-industrial complex, while public fascination was fueled by films, novels, and speculative journalism that depicted alien life as either benevolent visitors or harbingers of doom, a duality that mirrored humanity's own oscillation between optimism and paranoia, and which prefigured the heightened secrecy and surveillance of the 2050 seconds and 2060 seconds when Project Majestic 12 and other clandestine government operations sought to catalogue, study, and suppress evidence of extraterrestrial phenomena, reflecting a pervasive fear that knowledge of alien life, if made public, could destabilize society, undermine national security, or erode faith in human exceptionalism, even as scientists and engineers labored to replicate what they glimpsed in fragments, materials, and reports, incorporating insights derived from unexplained artifacts into experimental propulsion systems, plasma energy research, and robotics projects whose true inspiration remained obscured from public view. The pre-war obsession with UFOs was not merely a cultural phenomenon, but a lens through which the anxieties of a nuclear age were refracted as humanity confronted the duality of its own potential for creation and destruction, exemplified by a world racing toward atomic armament, while simultaneously looking outward to the stars, seeking signs that life beyond Earth might offer salvation, knowledge, or warning. It was in the 2050 seconds, during the Cold War's final decades, that sightings intensified, and reports became both more frequent and more credible, as commercial pilots, military personnel, and ordinary citizens alike described luminous objects executing maneuvers that defied contemporary aeronautical understanding, accelerating the formation of specialized investigative bodies within the Department of Defense, the National Security Agency, and secretive branches of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, whose memoranda, later uncovered amid the ruins of the Capital Wasteland and the West Coast, reveal not only an obsessive scrutiny of the skies, but also internal disagreements about the potential threat posed by these visitors, some advocating transparency, others insisting upon concealment, and still others proposing limited engagement or study under controlled conditions, a spectrum of opinion that mirrored the broader tension between public perception and governmental secrecy, and which gave rise to a variety of speculative narratives that permeated newspapers and broadcasts, from sensational accounts of alien abductions and disappearing aircraft, to meticulous sketches of craft with consistent features, metallic discs, dome-shaped tops, glowing underbellies, and an uncanny ability to accelerate, hover, or vanish without warning, phenomena that would later find corroboration in the post-war exploration of Mothership Zeta and other extraterrestrial remnants, though during this era, the public remained largely unaware of the scope of government knowledge, as classified documents indicate that dozens of alien encounters had been recorded, catalogued, and investigated in a context that prioritized secrecy over scientific understanding, a pattern that only deepened after the formation of private aerospace contractors and defense corporations, who quietly funneled resources into reverse engineering programs and the development of experimental craft that drew inspiration, however indirectly, from alien designs, creating a feedback loop in which human technological innovation was simultaneously inspired by and attempting to anticipate the capabilities of unknown extraterrestrial intelligence. Popular culture of the era reflected these anxieties in both subtle and overt ways, with comic books, pulp fiction, and cinematic productions depicting alien invasions, mysterious lights, and enigmatic visitors, often portraying humanity as unprepared or vulnerable, yet sometimes as resourceful and adaptive, a duality that presaged the world of fallout, in which survival depended as much on understanding the unknown as on mastering the known, and which reinforced public fascination with ufology, leading to the establishment of private societies and research groups dedicated to the collection and analysis of sightings, evidence, and anecdotal accounts, forming an informal network of information exchange that sometimes intersected with government investigations, but more often operated at the margins, synthesizing eyewitness testimony, photographic records, and experimental data in an attempt to reconstruct patterns of visitation, flight characteristics, and possible alien intent, all while navigating the persistent challenge of distinguishing genuine phenomena from human error, hoaxes, or misinterpreted natural occurrences. In parallel, the military-industrial complex accelerated research into technologies that mirrored or paralleled alleged alien capabilities, including compact energy weapons, advanced propulsion experiments, and stealth materials, reflecting a tacit acknowledgement that if extraterrestrial intelligence existed and was technologically superior, it represented both a threat and an opportunity, a perspective codified in internal strategy papers that outlined potential defensive protocols, reconnaissance missions, and contingency plans for first contact scenarios, many of which anticipated outcomes ranging from cooperative engagement to full-scale confrontation, and which influenced pre-war doctrine despite never being publicly disclosed, ensuring that the American populace remained largely unaware of the extent to which alien phenomena had infiltrated national security priorities. The public, for its part, oscillated between skepticism and fascination, consuming stories of flying saucers, abductions, and mysterious lights with a mixture of awe, fear, and amusement, while amateur investigators and ufologists documented incidents with painstaking care, photographing glows in the sky, mapping flight paths, and compiling detailed reports, often correlating with meteorological anomalies, electromagnetic disturbances, or unexplained mechanical failures, data that would later prove crucial in verifying post-war alien encounters and lending credibility to the claim that extraterrestrial observation of Earth had been ongoing long before the nuclear apocalypse. The media's role in shaping perception cannot be understated, as sensationalist reporting amplified public interest, encouraged speculation, and fostered a cultural environment in which the possibility of alien life became both a source of entertainment and a serious subject of debate. A tension mirrored in the official reports that, though classified, revealed deep concern within government circles about the potential societal impact of disclosure, including panic, destabilization, or the erosion of public confidence in science and leadership, concerns that ultimately contributed to decades of secrecy, obfuscation, and compartmentalization, and which provide a striking parallel to the post-war era when evidence of alien technology, abduction phenomena, and extraterrestrial presence would emerge as fragmented yet undeniable truths. By the eve of the Great War, the UFO craze had evolved into a complex interplay of public fascination, governmental secrecy, and corporate interest. A confluence of forces that set the stage for the post-apocalyptic encounters that would define Fallout's extraterrestrial narrative, ensuring that when the bombs fell, humanity was already primed with the cultural memory, institutional knowledge, and technological curiosity that would allow survivors to recognize, investigate, and ultimately confront the enigmatic presence of alien life, a presence that had shadowed humanity from pre-war skies to the orbiting corridors of Mothership Zeta, silently observing, intervening, and shaping the trajectory of human civilization in ways only partially understood, leaving behind a legacy of questions, artifacts, and cryptic phenomena that continue to challenge historians, explorers, and wastelanders alike, demanding careful study, interpretation, and respect for the incomprehensible intelligence that hovers just beyond the reach of human perception, a presence that is at once terrifying, awe-inspiring, and a constant reminder that in the Fallout universe, the skies above have always been more than empty space. They have been a mirror reflecting not only humanity's ambitions and fears, but also the inescapable reality that we are not alone, and that the stars, with all their distant mysteries, have always watched. In the shadowed corridors of pre-war power, where classified memos and intelligence briefings circulated only among a select few, the existence of Project Majestic 12 emerged as one of the most tightly guarded secrets of the American government, a program whose purpose was as extraordinary as it was perilous: to investigate, document, and ultimately control the presence of extraterrestrial life on Earth, a mission born of both fear and fascination, initiated in the decades preceding the Great War, and spanning multiple administrations, military branches, and scientific agencies, its scope extending from the skies over the continental United States to clandestine laboratories hidden in remote corners of the world, often disguised as conventional research facilities or military installations, and its influence permeating the development of experimental technology, national security strategy, and the broader cultural obsession with unidentified flying objects that had grown over the first half of the 21st century, a phenomenon that had captured public imagination and provoked scientific inquiry, even as the government sought to suppress, manipulate, or entirely erase evidence of extraterrestrial activity. The records of Majestic 12, long considered the realm of conspiracy theorists until their post-war verification by historians and explorers of the wasteland, indicate that the program was structured around a hierarchical network of operatives, scientists, and military personnel who were tasked with three primary objectives. First, the recovery of alien craft and materials following sightings, crashes, or disappearances. Second, the analysis and reverse engineering of technology deemed sufficiently advanced to threaten or enhance human capability. And third, the containment and study of living extraterrestrial specimens, a mandate that extended to human subjects, abducted or otherwise associated with encounters, reflecting an experimental ethos that placed scientific discovery above ethical considerations, and one that would later be echoed in the systematic abductions observed aboard Mothership Zeta, documentation recovered from pre-war bunkers, intelligence files, and later investigations by the Brotherhood of Steel and independent wasteland scholars reveal that Majestic 12 operatives were deployed nationwide, often in concert with aerospace contractors, civilian scientists, and military engineers, to secure, transport, and examine alien artifacts under extreme secrecy, creating a hidden infrastructure of observation towers, underground laboratories, and research vessels that functioned alongside but separate from conventional government institutions, and whose activities remained largely invisible to the public even as anomalous events, sightings, and disappearances increased in frequency and intensity. The most well-documented example of Majestic 12's work is inextricably linked to what would become known post-war as the Mothership Zeta incident, a large-scale abduction and containment operation that demonstrates the program's scope, methodology, and understanding of extraterrestrial biology and technology, revealing that human interaction with alien species had been deliberate, prolonged, and systematic, spanning multiple decades, and that the data gathered during these operations had informed experimental designs in human energy weapons, fusion reactors, robotics, and stasis technology, a convergence of human ingenuity and alien inspiration, whose long-term effects on pre-war scientific advancement remain both profound and underappreciated. These operations were not without controversy, as internal disputes over the moral and strategic implications of studying and exploiting alien life occasionally erupted, though they were invariably contained within the tightly controlled framework of Majestic 12's bureaucracy, and dissenting voices were silenced, reassigned, or otherwise removed from positions of influence, ensuring that the secrecy and singularity of purpose were maintained, a factor that contributed both to the program's success and to the eventual isolation of its findings from the broader scientific community, leaving the post-war world with only fragmented, partial knowledge of the full extent of alien-human interaction prior to the Great War. The strategic goals of Majestic 12 were complex, reflecting a dual concern for defense and opportunistic acquisition. On one hand, the program sought to anticipate potential threats from extraterrestrial forces by cataloging their capabilities, understanding their weapons systems, and developing countermeasures that could be deployed in both peacetime and conflict scenarios. On the other hand, the initiative aimed to harness alien technology for national advantage, embedding its findings into experimental platforms that, though ostensibly classified for defense purposes, also laid the foundation for pre-war corporations such as Robco and General Atomics to push the boundaries of robotics, fusion technology, and energy weaponry, a blending of government oversight, corporate ambition, and alien-derived knowledge that accelerated human technological progress while maintaining the illusion of purely human innovation. Evidence of Majestic 12's influence can be traced across multiple wasteland sites post-war, from derelict observatories and hidden bunkers in the Capital Wasteland to obscure military complexes in the Mojave Desert, all containing remnants of recovered alien materials, documented abductions, and experimental weapon prototypes whose design was inconsistent with contemporary human engineering, including energy pistols, handheld plasma rifles, and stasis apparatus, artifacts that suggest the program had achieved a remarkable degree of success in its primary objectives, and that hint at the larger or enigmatic motives of the extraterrestrial species involved, particularly the Zetans, whose repeated presence on Earth, both before and after the Great War, underscores the sustained and deliberate nature of alien observation and experimentation. The shadow of Zeta, the orbiting alien vessel later encountered by post-war scavengers, serves as both a culmination and a testament to Majestic 12's pre-war efforts, revealing the full extent of humanity's contact with alien life and the scale of the program's ambition. Aboard Mothership Zeta, evidence indicates that humans from multiple time periods, abducted or otherwise captured, were preserved and experimented upon alongside the study of alien technology, confirming that the pre-war government had long understood, at least in part, the nature of the Zetans and the potential applications of their advanced devices, yet chose to prioritize secrecy and controlled study over disclosure, creating a legacy of mystery and danger that would challenge post-war survivors, scholars, and explorers alike. Analyses of recovered data, holotapes, and surviving documentation suggest that Majestic 12's methods were systematic and meticulous, employing rigorous observation, controlled experimentation, and sophisticated containment protocols designed to minimize risk to operatives while maximizing the yield of knowledge. Yet these same measures inadvertently contributed to the alien species' awareness of human intelligence and capabilities, establishing a feedback loop of observation and counter-observation that extended across decades and, perhaps unintentionally, influenced human behavior and technological development in ways that prefigured post-war encounters. The operational philosophy of Majestic 12 balanced scientific curiosity, military prudence, and the strategic imperatives of national security, a triad of priorities that often conflicted but ultimately reinforced the program's secrecy and scope, leaving behind a trove of information, technology, and biological samples that would only be partially rediscovered by wasteland explorers centuries later, and whose existence underscores the interplay of human ambition, fear, and ingenuity in the shadowed history of extraterrestrial contact. In sum, Project Majestic 12 represents one of the most profound intersections of human and alien history in the Fallout universe, a testament to pre-war efforts to comprehend, control, and ultimately harness forces far beyond ordinary human understanding, whose traces endure in the scattered remnants of crashed alien craft, Mothership Zeta, reverse-engineered weapons, and post-war lore, revealing that even in the era before the bombs, humanity was both aware of and shaped by a presence from the stars, a silent witness to the ambition, folly, and ultimate vulnerability of a species that would soon face the greatest catastrophe in its history, while under the watchful gaze of something entirely other, whose motives remain inscrutable, yet whose influence is undeniable, leaving the post-war world to grapple with questions of ethics, survival, and the extent to which humanity's pre-war ingenuity was inspired, guided, or challenged by forces not of this earth. The Great War of 2077, a cataclysmic event that reshaped the world and reduced much of human civilization to ash and ruin, is often remembered solely for its nuclear devastation, yet a careful examination of pre-war intelligence reports, survivor accounts, and post-war investigations reveals that the skies above were far from empty in the hours, days, and even months leading up to the conflagration, as unusual aerial phenomena, unexplained luminous objects, and anomalous flight patterns were recorded across multiple continents, hinting at a potential extraterrestrial awareness or presence during humanity's most self-destructive moment, a presence that would later be confirmed, at least in part, by the post-war encounters with alien craft, such as Mothership Zeta, whose orbital trajectory and abduction logs suggest that the Zetans had been monitoring human activity for decades and may have observed, if not influenced, the chain of events leading to global annihilation, raising profound questions about the role of alien intelligence in the timing, scope, and consequences of the nuclear exchange. As early as the 2050 seconds and 2060 seconds, intelligence gathered through both civilian and military sources indicated a rising frequency of unidentified aerial objects, often witnessed near major military installations, nuclear test sites, and regions of geopolitical tension, suggesting that the extraterrestrial observers were drawn to humanity's developing capacity for mass destruction. And while the full intentions of these beings remain unknown, the coincidence of their heightened presence with the intensification of the arms race is striking. implying a level of interest in the deployment of nuclear weapons, the movement of strategic forces, and perhaps the calculation of humanity's trajectory toward self-destruction, a theory that has long been debated among wasteland scholars, Brotherhood of Steel historians, and independent researchers who have pieced together pre-war data with post-war physical evidence. In the months preceding the 23rd of October 2077, reports from pilots, air traffic controllers, and military observers noted unusual lights maneuvering with impossible precision, sometimes coinciding with missile tests or the transportation of nuclear warheads, while radar logs from highly secure facilities contained blips and signals that defied conventional aircraft identification, lending credence to claims that the Zetans, or other unknown extraterrestrial entities, were actively monitoring human activity with a level of technological sophistication beyond contemporary comprehension, capable of observing both terrestrial and orbital movements with complete invisibility, an observation that raises questions not only about the scope of pre-war surveillance but also about the potential role of aliens in assessing the imminent collapse of global civilization. When the bombs finally fell, the devastation was unparalleled. Hundreds of urban centers were reduced to rubble, millions perished in seconds, and entire landscapes were rendered inhospitable by radiation. Yet, even in this inferno, eyewitness accounts, recorded in holotapes, diaries, and radio intercepts, describe phenomena that cannot be easily explained by human weaponry alone, including objects streaking across the sky at tremendous speeds, hovering silently above cities moments before detonation, or emitting light patterns inconsistent with known forms of propulsion, leading some historians to speculate that extraterrestrial craft may have been actively observing the culmination of humanity's conflict, documenting the destruction as a form of study or assessment, an act that aligns with post-war observations aboard Mothership Zeta, where humans abducted from multiple periods were found preserved, suggesting a long-term interest in the evolution, technology, and survival patterns of the human species. The role of alien observation during the Great War also intersects with the survival strategies employed by certain pre-war organizations and scientists, many of whom documented anomalies in flight paths, energy readings, and atmospheric disturbances, though their warnings were largely dismissed or classified, creating a situation in which humanity marched blindly toward annihilation, even as forces from beyond the stars were present to witness the catastrophe, a scenario that has led scholars in the wasteland to consider philosophical questions about predestination, intervention, and the ethics of observation, contemplating whether the aliens were neutral witnesses, passive observers recording data for future analysis, or opportunistic entities, positioning themselves to exploit a post-apocalyptic Earth. Post-war investigations of the skies further revealed the existence of orbital debris and unidentified craft that could not be attributed to pre-war satellites, military drones, or known aircraft, including the initial traces of the vessel that would later be identified as Mothership Zeta, whose proximity to Earth's surface during the nuclear exchange suggests an ability to survive extreme conditions and indicates that alien technology may have been unaffected by the very nuclear detonations that annihilated so much human life, a fact that underscores the disparity between human and extraterrestrial resilience, and which fuels ongoing speculation about the purpose of these beings' surveillance, whether scientific, strategic, or entirely inscrutable. Additionally, survivors emerging from vaults in the immediate aftermath of the Great War reported strange lights, sudden electromagnetic disturbances, and inexplicable interference with communication devices, phenomena which, when corroborated with recovered pre-war reports and alien technology, indicate that the events of October 23 were observed with a precision that far exceeded human capability, and that the extraterrestrial presence was not a passive backdrop, but an active component of the wartime environment, at least insofar as observation and data collection were concerned. The consequences of these observations are profound when considered in conjunction with later post-war encounters, which reveal not only the technological sophistication of the Zetans, but also their methodological approach to human subjects, experimentation, and containment, suggesting that the Great War may have served as an inflection point in their study of humanity, providing data on the species' behavior under extreme stress, social collapse, and environmental devastation, insights that would be invaluable in shaping subsequent interactions, abductions, and technological interventions, as seen in documented post-war human-alien encounters. Furthermore, historical analyses indicate that the alien presence during the Great War was likely global, with sightings and anomalies reported in North America, Europe, and Asia, though documentation outside North America is sparse due to the destruction of records and infrastructure, yet the pattern of observation suggests a coordinated and systematic approach to monitoring humanity's self-destruction, implying strategic foresight, an advanced understanding of nuclear physics, and possibly an awareness of the limitations and vulnerabilities of human society, all of which raises compelling questions regarding the role of extraterrestrial intelligence in the context of a civilization on the brink of annihilation. Ultimately, the Great War and the sky that burned serve not only as a testament to humanity's capacity for destruction, but also as a lens through which to view the persistent presence of extraterrestrial observers whose silent watch over human conflict, technological advancement, and societal collapse underscores a larger, cosmic narrative, one in which humanity's rise and fall is documented, scrutinized, and preserved, leaving a legacy of questions that continue to haunt wasteland historians, scientists, and survivors alike, as the evidence from pre-war reports, eyewitness accounts, and post-war discoveries coalesces into an undeniable, if incomplete, picture that while humanity unleashed fire upon itself, the stars above remained inhabited, attentive, and profoundly aware of the species below, setting the stage for the post-apocalyptic encounters, abductions, and artifacts that would dominate the alien narrative in the Fallout universe, and reminding every observer that the Great War, while catastrophic for human civilization, was but one episode in a much larger story in which humanity has always been watched, studied, and ultimately measured against the distant, inscrutable intelligence of beings from beyond the stars. Among the most startling revelations of post-war exploration is the existence of Mothership Zeta, an alien vessel whose discovery in orbit around the irradiated Earth confirmed beyond doubt what had long been suspected by theorists, historians, and scavengers, that extraterrestrial intelligence had not only observed humanity for centuries, but had actively intervened in subtle and disturbing ways, most notably through the abduction of humans for study, experimentation, and purposes that remain largely inscrutable, a reality that forever reshapes the understanding of pre-war and post-war human-alien interactions. Mothership Zeta itself is a marvel of engineering, a sprawling, metallic construct whose interior defies earthly design conventions, featuring expansive corridors, containment chambers, energy conduits, and advanced technological systems whose functionality surpasses even the most sophisticated pre-war or post-war human devices, and whose very presence in orbit demonstrates a deliberate and sustained capacity for observation, mobility, and survival, even in the aftermath of nuclear devastation, highlighting the Zetans' mastery of energy manipulation, propulsion, and environmental control, and underscoring the profound technological gap between humanity and these extraterrestrial visitors, a gap that informs every encounter, artifact, and phenomenon associated with the vessel. The human abductions documented aboard Mothership Zeta span multiple centuries, including individuals removed from the pre-war world, such as scientists and military personnel, as well as post-war survivors, scavengers, and wanderers preserved in stasis for extended periods and subjected to experiments ranging from genetic sampling and physiological observation to neurological monitoring and forced interaction with alien technology, a methodology that reveals not only a deep understanding of human biology, but also a methodical approach to longitudinal study, allowing the Zetans to observe human adaptation, resilience, and cognitive response under conditions entirely foreign to the planet-bound experience, thereby constructing a comprehensive record of humanity's evolution, behavior, and technological potential across time and circumstance. Eyewitness accounts, holotapes, and terminal logs recovered from the Capital Wasteland and other regions detail the terrifying nature of these abductions, which often occurred without warning, leaving no trace save for the sudden disappearance of the individual and occasional anomalies in local energy readings or electromagnetic fields, phenomena that later formed the basis of post-war ufological study and confirmed long-standing suspicions about the existence of extraterrestrial activity during both the pre-war and post-war periods. Analysis of the vessel's internal systems demonstrates an advanced capability for manipulating matter and energy in ways that are still poorly understood by human scientists, including teleportation chambers capable of instantaneously relocating human subjects across vast distances within the ship, stasis pods that halt or slow biological processes without causing harm, and medical interfaces that allow precise observation and manipulation of neural and cellular activity, all of which suggest that the abductions were not random acts of aggression, but highly controlled, systematic procedures intended to gather maximum information about human physiology, psychology, and adaptability, a process that indicates a long-term research agenda spanning multiple generations and epochs of human civilization, underscoring the Zetans' patient, methodical approach to understanding a species both fascinating and unpredictable. Post-war exploration of Mothership Zeta revealed that abducted individuals were often returned to Earth after extended periods, sometimes altered subtly, in ways that hint at genetic or technological experimentation, including physiological changes, behavioral, conditioning, or enhanced susceptibility to alien devices, a pattern that has fueled speculation among wasteland scholars regarding the ultimate objectives of the Zetans, whether these experiments were preparatory for communication, intervention, or simply observational documentation, and highlighting the unsettling reality that human subjects have long been both participants and unwitting contributors to extraterrestrial research, a dynamic that continues to resonate in the post-war world through encounters with artifacts, technology, and anomalous phenomena linked to alien visitation. The discovery of Mothership Zeta and its abduction records also illuminates the connection between pre-war initiatives such as Project Majestic 12 and alien intervention, revealing a continuum in which humanity's own attempts to study and reverse engineer alien technology were mirrored, extended, and sometimes anticipated by the extraterrestrials themselves, suggesting a form of intelligence that is both reactive and proactive, capable of observing human ambition, experimentation, and error with extraordinary precision, and capable of integrating that information into its own strategies for engagement, preservation, and experimentation, a reality that challenges conventional assumptions about the autonomy of human technological development and the independence of human history. The architecture and operational layout of Mothership Zeta itself provide critical insight into the Zetans' methodology and priorities. Expansive research wings, containment chambers, energy grids, and transportation conduits indicate a species whose approach is highly systematic, methodical, and scientific, focused less on conquest or violence than on observation, control, and the accumulation of data, a perspective reinforced by the absence of offensive action toward Earth or its inhabitants during periods of contact, suggesting that the abductions and experiments serve a purpose beyond immediate, territorial or resource objectives, instead representing a sophisticated form of interstellar research whose ultimate goals remain enigmatic to human understanding, yet whose consistency across centuries and locations demonstrates a deliberate and continuous commitment to monitoring, studying, and interacting with humanity on a scale unprecedented in recorded history. Furthermore, the psychological and societal impact of Mothership Zeta's abductions on post-war survivors has been profound, shaping narratives, belief systems, and folklore within the wasteland, from reports of missing persons and unexplained energy phenomena to the creation of cults and research groups, such as the Hubologists, whose doctrines reflect pre-war and post-war awareness of alien observation, abduction, and the potential for human integration into a larger cosmic framework, a framework that underscores the continuing influence of extraterrestrial activity on human thought, culture, and technology, reinforcing the notion that humanity, even in its fractured, post-apocalyptic state, remains subject to the study, manipulation, and indirect guidance of an intelligence whose capabilities and intentions surpass human comprehension. The systematic approach of the Zetans aboard Mothership Zeta, including their meticulous documentation of abductees, the use of advanced medical and containment technologies, and the careful preservation of specimens across temporal boundaries, demonstrates an extraordinary understanding of human biology and behavior, suggesting that the species is capable not only of observing human evolution, but also of intervening subtly, shaping outcomes in ways that are both ethical and unethical by human standards, a dynamic that continues to inform the post-war analysis of alien encounters, artifacts, and technologies, providing critical context for the scattered reports of UFO activity, crash sites, and anomalous energy patterns that continue to appear across the wasteland, and underscoring the importance of studying these phenomena with rigor, caution, and an appreciation for the vast intelligence operating beyond Earth's atmosphere. In conclusion, Mothership Zeta and the human abductions it facilitated stand as the most concrete evidence of extraterrestrial presence within the Fallout universe, confirming that alien intelligence has been monitoring, interacting with, and experimenting upon humanity for centuries, with motives, methods, and technological sophistication that continue to challenge human understanding, inspire post-war exploration, and compel historians, scientists, and wasteland survivors to reconsider the scope of human history, the meaning of survival, and the enduring enigma of beings whose gaze has followed Earth's inhabitants from pre-war skies through the nuclear apocalypse, and into the fragile, irradiated world that emerged in the aftermath, a silent testament to the persistent, inscrutable, and profound influence of life beyond the stars. The Zetan species, first definitively confirmed to exist through encounters aboard Mothership Zeta, represents one of the most enigmatic and technologically advanced civilizations known to humanity in the Fallout universe. Their physiology, behavior, and machinery providing profound insight into extraterrestrial intelligence, while simultaneously raising countless questions regarding their motives, evolutionary history, and long-term observation of human development. These beings are typically described as small, bipedal creatures with grayish skin that reflects minimal light, oversized craniums that suggest a neurological complexity far beyond that of humans, and large, unblinking black eyes capable of perceiving a range of electromagnetic frequencies inaccessible to human vision, features that have been corroborated by holotapes, recovered medical scans, and first-hand observations by post-war explorers, revealing a species whose biological adaptations are highly specialized for environments both within and beyond Earth's atmosphere, allowing them to survive radiation, vacuum exposure, and the extreme conditions of deep space travel, a level of resilience that human technology struggles to replicate even in the post-war era. In addition to their distinctive physiology, the Zetans exhibit behaviors that indicate a methodical, scientific approach to interaction with other species, particularly humans, whose abductions, containment, and experimentation demonstrate an unparalleled understanding of human biology, psychology, and social patterns, as well as a capacity for long-term longitudinal study, preserving abductees for decades or even centuries to monitor development, adaptation, and response to environmental stresses, a practice that implies not only patient intelligence, but also a sophisticated ethical framework, albeit one that operates according to criteria that are inscrutable to human observers and frequently appear morally indifferent from a human perspective, resulting in procedures that are simultaneously precise, invasive, and devoid of conventional empathy, yet yielding data of extraordinary value for understanding the species under study. The technological capabilities of the Zetans, as revealed through both recovered artifacts and observations aboard Mothership Zeta, further emphasize their advanced nature, with energy weapons, containment systems, propulsion modules, and stasis devices that far exceed human engineering, incorporating principles that manipulate plasma energy, magnetic fields, and gravitational vectors in ways that human scientists can only partially comprehend. While their spacecraft employ modular designs capable of sustaining life for centuries in orbit, integrating self-repairing hull structures, advanced energy management, and automated environmental controls, all of which suggest not only an engineering mastery, but also a comprehensive understanding of ecosystems, materials, science, and life support sustainability, on a scale that surpasses the pre-war and post-war technological achievements of humanity. The Zetans' weaponry, in particular, demonstrates a level of lethality and efficiency that is both compact and devastating. Utilizing directed energy beams, plasma-based projectiles, and electromagnetic disruptors capable of neutralizing human adversaries and machinery alike, with minimal energy expenditure and maximum precision, indicating that combat, if it occurs, is secondary to their primary focus of study and containment. as the majority of documented encounters with humans show restraint and control rather than wanton destruction, suggesting a species that prioritizes information acquisition and experimentation over conquest, yet possesses the capability for extreme force should the need arise, a duality that has left wasteland survivors and post-war military analysts alike both awed and apprehensive. Beyond direct observation of humans, the Zetans' technology also reveals profound capabilities in data collection, manipulation, and communication, including devices capable of real-time neural scanning, molecular analysis, and genetic mapping, all integrated within portable platforms or centralized aboard spacecraft, enabling a level of comprehension of biological and behavioral systems far beyond human capacity and allowing them to conduct experiments and interventions across multiple human generations, with outcomes meticulously recorded, analyzed, and preserved, providing an archive of knowledge that exceeds the limitations of human memory, documentation, and lifespan, and ensuring continuity of study, even as individual members of the species are lost, relocated, or otherwise incapacitated. The operational philosophy of Zetan technology also reflects an intimate awareness of human ingenuity and adaptability, with systems designed to minimize detectability while maximizing observational efficacy. Employing cloaking mechanisms, silent propulsion, and stealth monitoring that have rendered their presence nearly invisible to pre-war radar, post-war sensors, and human perception, contributing to centuries of speculation, myth, and partial knowledge, and reinforcing the perception that their interventions are deliberate, patient, and guided by objectives that are comprehensible only in the context of their own long-term research agenda, a plan that may span millennia, encompassing entire species and ecological systems in pursuit of knowledge, experimentation, and perhaps even preservation. In addition to their physical and technological sophistication, the Zetans demonstrate social and organizational structures that suggest cooperative intelligence, with roles that appear distributed according to skill, knowledge, and specialization, coordinated through communication systems that allow instantaneous exchange of complex information across vast distances, including orbital vessels, ground monitoring sites, and potentially other undiscovered habitats, reflecting a civilization capable of maintaining continuity of knowledge, operational focus, and adaptive strategy across centuries, an achievement that emphasizes both their evolutionary refinement and the depth of their engagement with the species they study, particularly humanity, whose patterns of growth, destruction, and adaptation appear to fascinate them across pre-war, wartime, and post-war eras. The relationship between Zetan biology and technology is particularly striking, as their equipment appears to interface seamlessly with their physiological characteristics, including neural response, sensory input, and motor precision, allowing for a degree of interaction and control that is virtually impossible for human operators. A synergy that suggests centuries of co-evolution between biological intelligence and engineered systems, and which may partially explain the extraordinary resilience and capability of their spacecraft, stasis pods, and energy devices, whose operation depends on principles of energy, matter, and consciousness that human science has yet to fully replicate or understand. Furthermore, evidence from Mothership Zeta and other post-war encounters indicates that Zetans are capable of adaptive experimentation, modifying their technology and procedures in response to human behavior, environmental conditions, and observed outcomes, a process that not only demonstrates flexibility and learning, but also suggests a level of meta-analysis and strategic planning that transcends immediate objectives, allowing them to anticipate, manipulate, and respond to events across decades or centuries, with implications for both the study of human civilization and the preservation or alteration of the environments in which they operate, a capability that has profound consequences for wasteland societies, survivors, and explorers who encounter their artifacts, wreckage, or experimental sites. The study of Zetan technology also illuminates their potential methods for observation, abduction, and containment, including teleportation chambers, stasis devices, energy barriers, and neural monitoring systems that enable precise, controlled interactions with humans, minimizing risk while maximizing data acquisition, and reflecting an ethical framework that, while alien, is consistent, systematic, and highly effective, a stark contrast to human approaches that often prioritize immediate results or survival over long-term data collection. In sum, the Zetans exemplify a combination of biological specialization, technological mastery, and intellectual sophistication that places them far beyond humanity in capability, vision, and operational patience, and whose presence in the Fallout universe, as evidenced by Mothership Zeta, abduction records, and recovered artifacts, profoundly reshapes the understanding of human history, pre-war science, and post-war exploration, revealing a species whose motives, methods, and technologies are at once terrifying, awe-inspiring, and indicative of a deliberate, long-term program of observation and study, a program that continues to influence the course of human civilization in the irradiated, post-apocalyptic world, and whose enduring legacy challenges all who attempt to comprehend it, forcing the realization that humanity, despite its ingenuity, ambition, and resilience, remains under the attentive gaze of a civilization whose intellect, patience, and technology surpass all earthly measures, and whose influence, whether benevolent, indifferent, or inscrutable, has been felt from pre-war laboratories to the orbiting corridors of Mothership Zeta and the scattered remnants of human civilization that persist across the wasteland. The Capital Wasteland, a vast expanse of irradiated terrain surrounding the remnants of pre-war Washington, D.C., serves as one of the most significant theaters of post-war extraterrestrial encounters in the Fallout universe, where scattered survivors, Brotherhood of Steel expeditions, and independent explorers alike have documented phenomena that attest to the ongoing presence of the Zetans, their technology, and their systematic observation of human activity, establishing the region not merely as a post-apocalyptic ruin, but as a nexus for alien-human interaction, whose evidence stretches across multiple decades and encompasses both direct and indirect encounters. Reports collected from the area describe a spectrum of anomalous events, ranging from fleeting visual sightings of luminous craft performing impossible maneuvers in the sky to persistent, localized energy disturbances affecting human settlements, vehicles, and devices, many of which coincide with locations later determined to harbor crashed alien craft, remnants of experimental devices, or areas of concentrated abduction activity, suggesting that the Zetans maintain a sustained presence over the wasteland that extends beyond casual observation to active monitoring, experimentation, and perhaps even subtle influence on the behavior and development of human populations within their sphere of interest. The most well-documented instance of direct encounter in the Capital Wasteland is the exploration of Mothership Zeta's orbital trajectory, which revealed abduction records, experimental chambers, and human subjects preserved across multiple centuries, confirming that the extraterrestrial study of humanity did not cease with the pre-war era, but persisted into the post-apocalyptic period, with abductees returning to the wasteland, occasionally altered in ways indicative of both physiological and cognitive experimentation, including heightened susceptibility to alien technology, shifts in behavioral patterns, and sometimes the retention of knowledge inaccessible to normal human experience, phenomena that have shaped subsequent encounters, survivor narratives, and the study of alien influence on human society. In addition to direct abductions, numerous reports detail indirect evidence of Zetan activity, such as crashed or partially functional spacecraft, anomalous energy readings, and unexplained disruptions in local communications and electronic devices, patterns that suggest both ongoing experimentation and the presence of residual alien technology interacting with the environment, whether through automated systems, latent energy fields, or persistent surveillance protocols, a reality that has compelled Brotherhood of Steel units and Wasteland researchers to approach these sites with extreme caution, fully aware that human understanding of alien mechanics remains limited, and that even dormant technology may present lethal hazards. Furthermore, the Capital Wasteland's geography itself appears to influence the distribution and detectability of encounters, with urban ruins, subterranean bunkers, and irradiated corridors providing both cover and access for alien observation and experimentation, allowing Zetans to monitor human movement, survival strategies, and adaptation to extreme conditions, while minimizing the risk of exposure, a strategy consistent with the systematic approach to human study observed aboard Mothership Zeta and in other known alien facilities, and demonstrating an intelligence capable of long-term planning, environmental manipulation, and strategic positioning over vast temporal and spatial scales. Survivor accounts in the wasteland frequently describe experiences of sudden disorientation, temporal anomalies, or sensory disruptions preceding or following alien encounters, phenomena that align with known Zetan technological capabilities, including teleportation, stasis manipulation, and electromagnetic interference, and which have been corroborated by Brotherhood engineers and independent researchers using recovered instrumentation, further validating the presence and influence of extraterrestrial forces in the region, and illustrating that human memory, perception, and technological interaction are frequently subject to manipulation or alteration by these advanced systems. The cultural impact of Zetan encounters in the Capital Wasteland is also significant, influencing the formation of local law, settlement behavior, and survival strategies, as communities adapt to the persistent, often invisible presence of extraterrestrial observers, and as scavengers, traders, and explorers share stories of lights in the sky, sudden disappearances, and inexplicable technological artifacts, narratives that reinforce both caution and curiosity, while fostering a collective understanding that the wasteland is not merely a human domain, but a contested space where alien intelligence continues to operate with patient observation and methodical experimentation, reminding survivors that even the ruins of a destroyed civilization are subject to forces far greater and more intelligent than themselves. Moreover, the interactions documented in the Capital Wasteland frequently intersect with residual pre-war initiatives such as Project Majestic 12, revealing a continuity of human-alien contact that spans centuries, linking pre-war surveillance, abduction records, and experimental research to post-war findings, artifacts, and encounters, a thread that underscores the deliberate and persistent nature of Zetan observation and study, and which challenges historians, engineers, and scavengers to reconcile the apparent objectives of these extraterrestrials with the observable outcomes on human populations, technology, and culture in the irradiated environment. Detailed studies of encounter sites reveal that Zetan technology in the wasteland often incorporates self-repairing systems, energy fields capable of manipulating both matter and perception, and automated observational arrays that continue to function in the absence of direct alien presence, creating zones in which human explorers may experience sudden shifts in environmental conditions, malfunctioning equipment, or cognitive disorientation, all of which are consistent with the species' methodical approach to data collection and behavioral observation, and which reflect a sophisticated understanding of human physiology, environmental interaction, and the psychological effects of isolation, fear, and exposure to extreme conditions, allowing them to gather nuanced data on human adaptation to post-apocalyptic life. Further compounding the complexity of encounters in the Capital Wasteland is the evidence of long-term experimentation on both individuals and communities, with abductees returning exhibiting altered behavior, physical modifications, or inexplicable knowledge, while certain locations display residual energy fields or partially functional alien devices that influence human activity, suggesting that the Zetan studies are not merely observational, but actively participatory, shaping outcomes, testing responses, and recording results in ways that continue to impact human populations centuries after the Great War, a reality that emphasizes both the patience and the ethical opacity of these extraterrestrial interventions. Finally, the Capital Wasteland's encounters highlight the broader implications of human-alien interaction in a post-apocalyptic context, demonstrating that even in a world devastated by nuclear fire, humanity remains under careful observation, subjected to ongoing study, and challenged by technology and intelligence far beyond its own, a dynamic that compels survivors, historians, and explorers to adapt their strategies, prioritize caution, and continually question assumptions about the nature of the environment, the limits of human agency, and the enduring presence of an extraterrestrial species whose patient, methodical observation has spanned centuries, infiltrated human history, and left an indelible mark on both the cultural and technological landscape of the wasteland, confirming that in the Fallout universe, the Capital Wasteland is not merely a relic of atomic destruction, but a living archive of alien observation, intervention, and experimentation, where the shadows of the Zetans' presence loom over every survivor, artifact, and encounter, demanding respect, vigilance, and an acknowledgement of the enduring enigma that hovers above the irradiated terrain, unseen yet profoundly influential in shaping the post-war human experience. The Mojave Wasteland, stretching from the irradiated ruins of pre-war Las Vegas to the desolate stretches of the desert, is a region deeply intertwined with extraterrestrial phenomena, where the remnants of human civilization coexist uneasily with scattered evidence of alien activity, drawing the attention of both wandering survivors and researchers intent on piecing together the mysterious intersections between human history and the observation of the Zetans, whose presence, while often indirect, is recorded in numerous sites, legends, and technological artifacts across the desert. From the iconic crash site of the crashed UFO near the Mojave outpost, to the scattered debris fields south of Nellis Air Force Base, the region offers concrete evidence of extraterrestrial visitation, with hull fragments, energy residue, and alien containment pods, indicating that advanced craft from beyond the stars once traversed the Mojave skies, interacting with the pre-war human population and leaving behind technology that continues to baffle even the most seasoned wasteland engineers, whose attempts to reverse engineer these artifacts reveal principles of energy manipulation, propulsion, and containment that far exceed conventional pre-war science, suggesting not merely observation, but a deliberate program of study, experimentation, and perhaps recruitment of human subjects for prolonged monitoring. Eyewitness accounts from traders, scavengers, and residents of New Vegas recount strange lights in the night sky, sudden electromagnetic disruptions, and inexplicable disappearances that echo the abduction patterns documented in Mothership Zeta, while holotapes and terminal logs found in hidden vaults and bunkers corroborate these incidents, describing anomalies in energy readings, atmospheric interference, and the occasional return of abducted individuals with subtle physiological and behavioral changes, all of which indicate that the Zetans' experimental interest extended beyond orbital observation to active interaction with human populations in targeted locations, a reality that has inspired both fear and curiosity among those who traverse the Mojave Wastelands. The Mojave is also home to cults and organizations whose beliefs revolve around the stars, UFOs, and extraterrestrial life, most notably the followers of the apocalypse, and smaller localized sects that interpret the scattered alien debris and anomalies as divine or prophetic in nature, blending pre-war UFO lore, human superstition, and post-war survival narratives, and thereby preserving, albeit in distorted form, the cultural memory of alien contact, sightings, and interventions. Pre-war research facilities buried beneath the sands of the Mojave, some linked to military experiments and aerospace programs, further suggest a continuum of human-alien engagement, as documents recovered from abandoned vaults and hidden bunkers indicate that scientists were studying unusual energy signatures, flight patterns, and craft materials long before the bombs fell, suggesting that the Mojave region was of strategic interest to both the pre-war human authorities and the Zetans themselves, a convergence of observation that produced both technological advancement and the secrecy that would characterize post-war encounters, particularly those associated with crashed alien craft. Studies of the crashed UFO near the Mojave outpost reveal a remarkable preservation of alien technology, with partially functioning energy conduits, stasis pods, and containment fields that continue to emit measurable energy readings, confirming that even centuries after the pre-war era, these systems operate according to principles that defy human comprehension, allowing researchers to document alien engineering in real time, study energy interactions, and attempt limited replication of extraterrestrial mechanisms, though none have succeeded in fully duplicating the technology, highlighting the vast gap between human innovation and Zetan design. In addition, certain locales, such as the outskirts of Nipton and the remnants of Camp Searchlight, have yielded anomalous readings that suggest ongoing extraterrestrial observation with unexplained electromagnetic disturbances, irregular radar blips, and fleeting visual sightings of aerial phenomena consistent with the behavior of pre-war UFO reports and post-war Zetan activity, illustrating that the Mojave's harsh, open terrain provides an ideal observational environment for the Zetans, who appear to maintain both passive and active monitoring, tracking human adaptation, survival strategies, and technological curiosity, ensuring continuity of study across generations of post-war survivors. The interplay between human technological salvage and alien artifacts in the Mojave also demonstrates a complex relationship, as scavengers and explorers often encounter energy weapons, containment units, and other devices whose origin is unmistakably extraterrestrial, yet which have been partially assimilated into human survival tools, including modifications to firearms, energy-based defensive systems, and experimental energy cells, indicating that alien technology continues to influence human ingenuity and post-war adaptation despite the absence of direct contact, and reinforcing the notion that the Zetans' presence is both persistent and subtly directive, shaping human behavior, technology, and exploration patterns, even in the midst of the irradiated desert. Accounts from the New Vegas Strip and surrounding regions describe repeated sightings of flying craft, luminous phenomena, and electromagnetic anomalies, often coinciding with critical moments in human activity such as military movements, caravan traffic, or settlement expansion, suggesting that the Zetan study of human behavior is attentive, strategic, and patient, emphasizing observation rather than confrontation, and revealing an intelligence capable of long-term planning, adaptive response, and systematic monitoring, a pattern that aligns closely with the experimental approach documented aboard Mothership Zeta, and in the pre-war intelligence gathered by Project Majestic 12, illustrating continuity in human-alien interaction from the pre-war period to the post-war era. Additionally, field studies conducted by Brotherhood of Steel units and independent researchers in the Mojave highlight the persistence of alien energy signatures in sand-covered valleys, abandoned military compounds, and subterranean bunkers, with sensors detecting anomalous readings in electromagnetic fields, unexplained radiation patterns, and fluctuations in gravitational vectors, all of which suggest residual Zetan technology and observation infrastructure still active centuries after the Great War, and which continues to pose both an opportunity and a threat to those attempting to study or exploit these artifacts. The Mojave also offers insight into human perception and cultural response to alien activity, as communities interpret the presence of extraterrestrial phenomena through folklore, superstition, and adaptive behavior, incorporating sightings, disappearances, and technological anomalies into survival strategies, settlement planning, and social organization, thereby preserving a cultural memory of alien presence even as detailed scientific understanding remains elusive, a phenomenon that underscores the interaction between human cognition, cultural transmission, and ongoing Zetan observation, illustrating the complex feedback loop between observer and observed, technology and myth, and survival and curiosity. In conclusion, the Mojave Wasteland exemplifies the persistent, systematic, and largely inscrutable engagement of the Zetans with human civilization, blending direct abduction, technological experimentation, environmental observation, and cultural influence, creating a landscape in which every anomaly, crash site, and artifact serves as a testament to extraterrestrial surveillance, scientific inquiry, and patient observation, ensuring that the desert is not merely a relic of nuclear devastation, but a living archive of interspecies interaction, a theater where human survival, ingenuity, and myth intersect with a civilization from beyond the stars, leaving an indelible imprint on the post-war world. challenging researchers, scavengers, and survivors to reconcile the known and the unknown, the natural and the artificial, and the human and the alien, while continually confronting the reality that even in the irradiated sands of the Mojave, humanity is not alone, and that every unexplained light, artifact, and disappearance is part of a grand, ongoing experiment conducted by beings whose motives, methods, and technology remain as mysterious as the cosmos itself. The Commonwealth, the post-apocalyptic region surrounding the ruins of Boston, Massachusetts, presents a unique and compelling landscape for the study of extraterrestrial anomalies within the Fallout universe, where a combination of dense urban environments, decayed infrastructure, and open countryside has facilitated both the persistence of unexplained phenomena and the discovery of alien artifacts, sightings, and environmental distortions, making the area a focal point for researchers, wasteland explorers, and organizations such as the Minutemen and Brotherhood of Steel, who seek to document and understand the continued presence and influence of the Zetans, whose activities in this region reveal patterns consistent with long-term observation, experimentation, and indirect intervention, extending the reach of extraterrestrial intelligence far beyond pre-war project sites and into the irradiated post-war human settlements. Throughout the Commonwealth, reports of strange lights in the night sky, sudden electromagnetic surges, and disappearing individuals have persisted for decades, often concentrated around areas of pre-war scientific or military significance, including the ruins of Boston University, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and hidden Vault-Tec facilities, suggesting that the Zetans' interest in human civilization is targeted, strategic, and systematic, focusing on centers of innovation, population density, and technological capability, and ensuring that their observational efforts yield maximum data on human behavior, adaptation, and resourcefulness in both normal and extreme conditions. A methodology consistent with documented practices aboard Mothership Zeta and pre-war programs such as Project Majestic 12, the most tangible evidence of extraterrestrial activity in the Commonwealth is the site of the infamous alien crash in the vicinity of the glowing sea, a location marked by intense radiation, disrupted energy fields, and residual, metallic debris that defies conventional human metallurgy, offering physical proof that the Zetans' presence is not merely observational, but involves the deployment of advanced technology with operational capabilities far beyond human comprehension, including energy sources that continue to emit detectable readings, propulsion systems that suggest mastery of anti-gravity, and inertial manipulation, and containment devices consistent with those observed on Mothership Zeta, indicating continuity in technological design and functional application, and providing researchers with unprecedented insight into alien engineering, energy management, and long-term environmental impact. Eyewitness accounts from scavengers and settlement inhabitants provide further corroboration of Zetan activity, describing brief abductions, sudden disappearances, and encounters with beings matching canonical descriptions of the Zetans, whose grey skin, elongated crania, and large black eyes have been consistently reported across both pre-war documentation and post-war encounters, illustrating the species' sustained interest in human behavior and its ability to operate undetected within urban and rural landscapes alike, while also highlighting the enduring psychological and sociological impact of alien contact on survivors, who often interpret such experiences through local folklore, superstition, and anecdotal narrative, blending fear, reverence, and curiosity into the collective cultural memory of the Commonwealth. Further evidence of Zetan influence emerges in the discovery of partially operational alien devices and energy nodes scattered throughout the region, some embedded within ruins or concealed beneath layers of earth and rubble, whose properties include localized gravity manipulation, electromagnetic interference, and biological monitoring capabilities, suggesting that these remnants functioned as experimental monitoring stations or automated research platforms, providing continuous observation of human populations and environmental conditions, and allowing the Zetans to collect precise, long-term data without necessitating direct intervention, an approach that mirrors the methodological patience and scientific rigor observed in orbital encounters and aboard Mothership Zeta, emphasizing the species' long-term strategy and systematic approach to the study of humanity. Pre-war and post-war documentation, including terminal entries, holotapes, and recovered data logs, further indicate that the Commonwealth was of strategic interest, not only due to its population centers and technological hubs, but also because of its diverse ecosystems, which offered a variety of biological and environmental conditions ideal for controlled observation of human adaptation, mutation, and survival strategies, particularly in areas affected by radiation, extreme weather, or urban collapse, thereby providing a comprehensive dataset that extended from physiological resilience to social cohesion and resource management, revealing that the Zetans' interest in human populations is both multidimensional and context-sensitive, and that their interventions are designed to maximize the breadth and depth of knowledge acquired. Anomalies in the Commonwealth are also tied to cryptid phenomena, unusual wildlife behavior, and environmental distortions, such as localized gravity shifts, sudden electromagnetic storms, and temporal anomalies, all of which suggest the deployment or residual effects of alien technology interacting with the post-war ecosystem, and implying that the Zetans' presence influences not only human society but the broader biological and physical environment, demonstrating a holistic approach to observation that extends beyond individual subjects to encompass entire landscapes, habitats, and social systems, and highlighting the sophistication of their experimental protocols, which prioritize comprehensive, long-term study over immediate results or direct manipulation. The role of human organizations in documenting these anomalies is critical, as groups such as the Railroad, Minutemen, and Brotherhood of Steel have meticulously recorded sightings, artifacts, and energy readings, often risking exposure to residual alien technology, radiation, and hostile wildlife in pursuit of understanding the Zetans' impact, and in doing so have provided a continuity of observational data that complements pre-war intelligence, allowing modern scholars to trace patterns of alien activity across centuries and revealing both the consistency of Zetan methods and the species' capacity to operate over long temporal scales with minimal risk of detection, a testament to their patience, planning, and technological mastery. Moreover, survivor testimonies indicate that alien observation in the Commonwealth is not always passive, as abductees and witnesses frequently report memory gaps, physiological changes, or cognitive disturbances following encounters, suggesting subtle but deliberate interactions designed to monitor, test, and perhaps influence human behavior, an approach that aligns with patterns observed in Mothership Zeta and other canonical encounters, confirming that the Zetans' interest is active, ongoing, and informed by sophisticated scientific protocols rather than random chance. and that the region serves as both a laboratory and a living archive of extraterrestrial human interaction, where every settlement, ruin, and anomaly contributes to the species' cumulative understanding of humanity. Finally, the anomalies of the Commonwealth provide a lens through which to assess the broader philosophical and strategic implications of alien presence, illustrating that the Zetans are neither overtly hostile nor overtly benevolent, but rather methodical observers, whose interventions, whether technological, biological, or environmental, are carefully calibrated to gather maximum data, preserve subjects, and maintain the integrity of the study. A reality that underscores the enduring mystery of extraterrestrial activity in the Fallout universe, challenges human assumptions about agency and autonomy in a post-apocalyptic landscape, and situates the Commonwealth as one of the most compelling, concentrated theaters of interspecies interaction, where every observation, artifact, and encounter contributes to the long-term narrative of human adaptation, survival, and continued scrutiny under the watchful gaze of a civilization from beyond the stars. The post-apocalyptic region of Appalachia, sprawling across the forests, valleys, and mountainous terrain of what was once West Virginia, presents a uniquely mysterious theater for the study of extraterrestrial activity within the Fallout universe, where the intersection of cryptid phenomena, anomalous events, and residual human settlements suggests a level of alien observation and influence distinct from other wastelands, a pattern most famously embodied by the enigmatic presence of the Mothman, whose appearances, alongside those of the Flatwoods Monster and other unexplained entities, have fueled both survivor testimony and scientific speculation regarding the connection between human myth, cryptozoology, and extraterrestrial visitation, providing compelling evidence that the Zetans' interest in humanity extends beyond technological experimentation to include cultural, behavioral, and possibly psychological observation. Reports from residents, scavengers, and independent researchers document that the Mothman is often seen in conjunction with catastrophic or highly anomalous events, appearing as a harbinger or observer, suggesting either a biological or technological proxy for alien surveillance, with its luminescent eyes, humanoid yet distinctly non-human form, and sudden, silent flight patterns aligning with canonical descriptions of extraterrestrial behavior, particularly in the context of stealth, observation, and data collection, and implying a deliberate presence designed to monitor human response to environmental, social, and technological stresses, rather than to directly intervene or cause harm. The Flatwoods Monster, first reported in pre-war lore and perpetuated through post-war sightings, further complicates the narrative of alien involvement in Appalachia, as its consistent anatomical descriptions, unusual physiology, and apparent interaction with environmental energy patterns mirror characteristics observed in Zetans and other documented extraterrestrial beings, leading scholars to propose that such cryptids may serve as intermediaries, proxies, or experimental subjects employed by the Zetans to study human behavior, local ecosystems, and survival adaptation under extreme and unpredictable conditions, thereby transforming folklore into a potential record of extraterrestrial methodology. Anomalous environmental readings in Appalachia provide additional evidence of alien presence, with electromagnetic distortions, sudden radiation spikes, and unexplained gravitational fluctuations detected in forests, caves, and abandoned settlements, suggesting either the remnants of extraterrestrial technology or the active operation of monitoring devices integrated into the region long before human recollection, a hypothesis supported by data from terminal logs, holotapes, and recovered pre-war documents, indicating that the area was of interest to both secret government programs and extraterrestrial observers, creating a layered history of surveillance, experimentation, and observation that spans centuries and includes pre-war, wartime, and post-war periods. Survivors' accounts frequently detail encounters in which cryptid phenomena coincide with sensations of being watched, temporary memory gaps, or even abduction experiences, with descriptions of strange light, sudden disorientation, and physiological anomalies, mirroring experiences documented in the Capital Wasteland, the Mojave, and other regions influenced by Zetan activity, reinforcing the notion that the Mothman, Flatwoods Monster, and similar entities may serve as focal points for extraterrestrial monitoring, capable of interfacing with human perception, environmental systems, and biological feedback mechanisms to record, analyze, and interpret responses to stimuli, thereby constructing a complex dataset on human adaptability, resilience, and behavioral patterns in a post-apocalyptic context. Additional research into the Mothman's appearances suggests a temporal and geographical consistency, often concentrated near areas of human settlement, resource accumulation, or technological experimentation, including the remains of pre-war military installations, radio towers, and abandoned laboratories, indicating a deliberate targeting of locations where human activity is most pronounced, or where human ingenuity and adaptation present the greatest informational value to alien observers, a method that parallels Mothership Zeta's abductive procedures and the long-term, patient data-gathering strategy documented in other regions of the Fallout universe, implying that the Zetans' approach encompasses not only individual subjects, but also human communities, social interactions, and technological experimentation over time. Cryptid-related encounters in Appalachia also intersect with anomalous technological artifacts, including remnants of energy devices, unexplained wiring, and radiation-emitting objects, some of which have been linked to alien experimentation, surveillance, or monitoring protocols, suggesting that the region functions as both a natural laboratory and a controlled observational environment, wherein humans and ecosystems are observed, their interactions recorded, and their adaptations analyzed, thereby providing the Zetans with a multidimensional understanding of post-apocalyptic survival, environmental adaptation, and cognitive and social evolution. Folklore surrounding the Mothman and similar creatures has persisted post-war, transmitted orally, through survivor journals, and via recovered holotapes, ensuring that knowledge of extraterrestrial presence, however mythologized, remains culturally embedded, influencing settlement patterns, traveler behavior, and even research initiatives by post-war factions, who must navigate both the physical dangers of the wasteland and the metaphysical or psychological impact of beings whose origins and intentions are only partially understood. A dynamic that creates a continuous feedback loop between human myth-making, cryptid activity, and Zetan observation, as the latter monitors not only human adaptation, but also the cultural encoding of observation into legend. Scientific and exploratory missions by groups such as the Responders, Brotherhood of Steel, and independent wasteland researchers have identified areas of concentrated anomaly in Appalachia where magnetic and energy disturbances, unusual topography, and cryptid activity intersect, providing high-value sites for investigation that yield both technological and biological data, including partial understanding of energy conduction, alien materials, and potential neural interfacing. Yet these efforts remain constrained by the unpredictable nature of the environment, the residual dangers of radiation and wildlife, and the elusive behavior of cryptid proxies, all of which highlight the Zetans' ability to manipulate observational conditions and maintain long-term surveillance without direct confrontation. In addition, studies of recovered alien artifacts and technology suggest that the Mothman and similar entities may represent either genetically engineered organisms, biomechanical constructs, or highly specialized observation drones, capable of operating autonomously within the Appalachian ecosystem, integrating sensory data, environmental metrics, and human behavioral cues into a centralized informational framework, a system that ensures continuous collection and analysis of relevant data while maintaining the appearance of myth or cryptid activity, thereby allowing extraterrestrial observers to remain undetected while gaining an extraordinary understanding of human, animal, and environmental dynamics across decades or centuries. Finally, the Appalachia region and its cryptid phenomena underscore the complex interplay between extraterrestrial presence, human perception, and post-apocalyptic survival, revealing a landscape in which observation, experimentation, and cultural adaptation converge, creating a dynamic environment in which the Zetans' long-term study of humanity continues, from the physiological and cognitive to the social and mythological, and where the persistence of the Mothman, the Flatwoods Monster, and other anomalous entities serves as both warning and testament to the enduring enigma of extraterrestrial influence, demonstrating that in the Fallout universe, even the most isolated forests and abandoned settlements are subject to surveillance, experimentation, and observation by beings whose intelligence, technology, and patience exceed human comprehension, reminding all who traverse Appalachia that the wasteland is not merely a relic of nuclear devastation, but a theater of ongoing cosmic scrutiny where humanity's survival, behavior, and culture are recorded, analyzed, and preserved beyond the comprehension of any single human mind. One of the most intriguing aspects of extraterrestrial presence in the Fallout universe is humanity's persistent attempt to understand, replicate, and ultimately harness alien technology, a process that spans both pre-war scientific initiatives and post-war scavenger ingenuity, revealing the profound impact of Zetan artifacts on the development of human weaponry, energy systems, and experimental devices, as well as the enduring challenges posed by their complexity, efficiency, and fundamentally alien design principles, which often defy conventional physics, engineering, and biological understanding. Pre-war programs, including the secretive Project Majestic 12 and various classified military research initiatives, sought to capture, contain, and reverse engineer Zetan craft, energy weapons, and technological modules, motivated both by national security concerns and the belief that understanding extraterrestrial capability could provide a decisive strategic advantage. Yet, archival records indicate that even with extensive resources, these programs struggled to replicate fundamental aspects of Zetan technology, from anti-gravity, propulsion, and plasma energy manipulation to stasis devices and neural interfacing systems, highlighting the vast technological gap between humanity and the species that had been observing them for decades or centuries, a gap that persists in the post-war era and continues to confound engineers, scientists, and scavengers across the wasteland. Post-war scavengers, mercenaries, and factional engineers, particularly those affiliated with the Brotherhood of Steel, have encountered partially functioning alien devices in sites ranging from Mothership Zeta crash remnants to isolated research bunkers, and have undertaken careful experimentation to integrate or adapt these technologies into human use applications, a process marked by both ingenuity and danger, as alien energy sources, containment fields, and automated systems often remain unstable, lethal, or incomprehensible, necessitating a combination of improvisation, reverse engineering, and cautious observation to understand and utilize even a fraction of their capabilities. The most widely studied examples of reverse-engineered technology include alien energy weapons, which have provided the foundation for advancements in plasma weaponry, pulse-based firearms, and energy-amplifying ammunition, illustrating how humans have been able to adapt certain principles of Zetan engineering to their own technological context, while remaining limited by gaps in material understanding, energy control, and operational stability, thereby creating a hybridization of human and alien technology that is both effective and inherently unstable, a compromise that reflects both human ingenuity and the enduring challenge of replicating extraterrestrial sophistication without a comprehensive understanding of the underlying science. Further studies of alien artifacts reveal the existence of advanced power sources, often compact, highly efficient, and capable of generating energy levels sufficient to sustain long-term operations of containment pods, propulsion systems, and energy-based weaponry, suggesting that Zetan energy manipulation relies on principles of matter conversion, plasma resonance, and electromagnetic cohesion far beyond human comprehension, yet partially adaptable through experimental replication, including the creation of human-scale plasma cells, miniature fusion cores, and improvised stasis chambers, demonstrating that even fragmentary understanding of Zetan technology can catalyze significant technological leaps in a post-apocalyptic environment where conventional resources are scarce and innovation is a necessity for survival. Reverse engineering efforts also extend to biological and neurological interfaces observed in Zetan experimentation, with recovered devices capable of monitoring neural activity, manipulating cognition, and interfacing with human sensory perception, inspiring human analogues, albeit crude and often dangerous, in the form of pre-war experimental implants, post-war neural monitors, and modified cybernetic systems, illustrating the profound influence of alien technology not only on mechanical and energy systems, but also on the human understanding of physiology, perception, and cognitive engineering, and revealing an intersection between human adaptation and extraterrestrial observation that continues to shape post-war research, experimentation, and survival strategies. In addition, spatial manipulation devices, including teleportation chambers, containment grids, and environmental stabilizers, have provided further insight into the Zetans' mastery of matter, energy, and localized physics, inspiring post-war experimentation in field-based energy containment, portable force shielding, and environmental control systems. Though all such attempts remain rudimentary compared to canonical alien designs, and are often limited by the availability of stable energy sources, materials capable of withstanding high-energy manipulation, and human comprehension of alien principles, thereby emphasizing the enduring technological superiority of the Zetans and the challenges inherent in reverse engineering without direct instruction or complete functional knowledge. The process of reverse engineering has not been without consequence, as documented accidents, power surges, and exposure to unstable alien materials have resulted in human casualties, facility destruction, and widespread environmental hazards. A fact that underscores both the risks of tampering with extraterrestrial technology and the complex interdependence of understanding, control, and adaptation in post-apocalyptic engineering, and reinforces the notion that alien artifacts, while potentially invaluable, remain dangerous, inscrutable, and best approached with caution, patience, and rigorous observational study. Mirroring the meticulous methods employed by the Zetans themselves in their study of humanity, culturally and strategically, the attempt to harness alien technology has had profound effects on human societies across the wasteland, influencing factional power dynamics, settlement security, and technological hierarchies, as access to even partially functional alien devices can provide decisive advantage in conflicts, trade, and survival, creating a persistent incentive for exploration, experimentation, and, in some cases, reckless ambition, a dynamic that continues to shape the post-war narrative of human adaptation, technological development, and the ongoing dialogue between humanity and the enduring inscrutable presence of extraterrestrial intelligence. Furthermore, the study of reverse-engineered technology has yielded philosophical and ethical questions regarding human interaction with the Zetans' creations, particularly when artifacts are employed in ways that endanger life, disrupt ecosystems, or exploit the underlying alien systems beyond their intended purpose, raising concerns about the consequences of misapplication, the limits of human comprehension, and the potential for unintended feedback or interference with extraterrestrial monitoring, suggesting that the act of reverse engineering is not merely technical, but also inherently entangled with moral, ecological, and strategic responsibility. Finally, the history of reverse engineering and alien technology in the Fallout universe, from pre-war government programs to post-war scavenger innovation, underscores the dual nature of extraterrestrial artifacts as both catalysts for human advancement and sources of existential risk, highlighting the enduring impact of Zetan presence on the technological trajectory, cultural evolution, and survival strategies of humanity, and providing a window into the broader narrative of observation, adaptation, and interspecies interaction, revealing that the post-apocalyptic landscape is as much a laboratory for human ingenuity as it is a stage for the patient, ongoing study of humanity by beings whose knowledge, technology, and strategic patience far exceed human understanding, ensuring that every experiment, device, and innovation carries with it the echo of alien design, the shadow of cosmic observation, and the potential for both progress and peril in a world still defined by the presence of forces beyond human comprehension. The persistent presence of the Zetans across the various wastelands of the Fallout universe, from the irradiated ruins of the Capital Wasteland to the deserts of the Mojave, the forests of Appalachia, and the urban sprawl of the Commonwealth, raises profound questions regarding the nature, purpose, and methodology of extraterrestrial observation, leading scholars, wasteland survivors, and pre-war historians to propose a range of theories that attempt to reconcile the evidence of abductions, technological artifacts, cryptid phenomena, and anomalous environmental readings with the broader question of alien intent, influence, and strategic interest in human civilization, suggesting that the Zetans' role extends beyond simple curiosity into a complex program of long-term monitoring, experimentation, and possibly even subtle manipulation of human societies. One prevalent theory posits that the Zetans function primarily as observers, documenting human adaptation, survival strategies, and technological progression without direct interference, a hypothesis supported by consistent patterns in abduction procedures, placement of monitoring devices, and the non-lethal nature of most encounters, which indicate a species capable of immense technological and combative capacity, yet choosing restraint in favor of patient study, effectively treating humanity as a long-term experimental subject whose responses to environmental stresses, radiation, scarcity, and conflict are meticulously recorded and analyzed to build a comprehensive understanding of human behavior across temporal, ecological, and social contexts, an approach consistent with the systematic, methodical procedures observed aboard Mothership Zeta and corroborated by pre-war Project Majestic 12 documentation. Another theory suggests that the Zetans may act as subtle manipulators, influencing human development, settlement patterns, and technological innovation indirectly through the strategic placement of artifacts, environmental anomalies, and engineered phenomena, thereby guiding human evolution and societal adaptation without overt intervention, a method that aligns with reports of energy disturbances, crashed or partially functional spacecraft, and unexplained cryptid phenomena such as the Mothman and Flatwoods Monster, whose appearances coincide with critical human activity, disaster, events, or settlement expansion, suggesting a deliberate and sustained effort to observe human responses to challenges, test problem-solving capabilities, and perhaps even encourage innovation in the face of adversity, all while maintaining the illusion of independence and natural development. Some scholars extend this theory further, proposing that the Zetans' influence may also encompass psychological and socio-cultural dimensions, wherein human myths, folklore, and cultural memory are themselves shaped or preserved by extraterrestrial observation, allowing the species to monitor not only physical and technological adaptation, but also the evolution of cognition, belief systems, and societal cohesion, a form of meta-observation that converts human culture into a living dataset, reflecting the interaction of perception, survival instincts, and social organization under both ordinary and extreme post-war conditions, thereby offering insight into not just individual or community behavior, but the broader cognitive architecture of a species recovering from near-total devastation. A third theory, more speculative but considered by some researchers, posits that the Zetans are opportunistic rather than purpose-driven, functioning as a species that collects data, resources, and biological samples as they encounter civilizations capable of sustaining life and intelligence, with humanity serving as one of many such subjects within a wider cosmic portfolio, a hypothesis supported by the diversity of observed species, regions, and temporal scales in which extraterrestrial activity has been documented, including pre-war America, the irradiated deserts, and post-war settlements, suggesting that the pattern of observation may be consistent across multiple planetary systems or civilizations, and that human experience represents only a fraction of the Zetans' broader investigative or adaptive strategy. The evidence supporting these theories is multifaceted, ranging from physical artifacts such as alien energy weapons, containment pods, and stasis chambers, to environmental anomalies like localized radiation spikes, gravitational distortions, and unexplained electromagnetic fields, to direct human experiences, including abductions, physiological modifications, and encounters with cryptids whose behavior appears guided by observation and data collection imperatives, all of which collectively illustrate a species capable of nuanced understanding, patient monitoring, and technological control far beyond human capability, and whose methods are sophisticated enough to preserve the integrity of observation while minimizing interference, disruption, or detection. Analysis of recovered pre-war documentation, holotapes, and terminal entries further reinforces the notion that the Zetans' engagement with humanity is both longitudinal and multidimensional, encompassing individual, community, and environmental observation, with data collection extending across physiological, psychological, social, and technological domains, allowing for detailed modeling of human response under both natural and engineered stresses, and suggesting that every anomaly, artifact, or encounter represents a deliberate and analytically valuable data point within a far-reaching, centuries-spanning research agenda. The philosophical implications of these theories are significant, challenging assumptions about free will, autonomy, and the nature of human agency. In a post-apocalyptic environment where observation and influence may be constant yet invisible, and raising questions about whether humanity's survival, innovation, and societal organization are purely self-determined or subtly shaped by extraterrestrial intelligence, a dynamic that blurs the boundary between natural evolution and externally guided adaptation, and forces scholars, wasteland survivors, and pre-war historians alike to reconsider the extent to which human history, culture, and technological development have been informed or constrained by forces beyond comprehension. Further complicating these theories is the evidence that Zetan observation is adaptive, responsive, and strategic, with patterns of engagement varying according to technological advancement, human behavior, environmental conditions, and post-war reconstruction, indicating that the species employs not only passive monitoring, but also conditional intervention, selectively testing hypotheses, observing responses to both controlled and uncontrolled variables, and adjusting their approach to maximize informational yield, a methodology that parallels terrestrial scientific experimentation while operating at temporal and spatial scales vastly greater than those achievable by humanity. Some researchers propose that the Zetans' patient observation and selective intervention may be motivated by a broader ethical or strategic framework, perhaps aimed at assessing humanity's long-term survivability, capacity for adaptation, or suitability for integration into a larger interstellar community, suggesting that abductions, artifact placement, and environmental manipulation serve as controlled experiments in resilience, cooperation, innovation, and conflict management, a perspective that frames the Zetans not as malevolent conquerors, but as cosmic scientists or anthropologists whose ultimate objectives may remain inscrutable, but whose methodology reflects deliberate, patient, and highly intelligent oversight. Finally, the synthesis of observed encounters, recovered technology, environmental anomalies, and survivor testimony across multiple regions of the Fallout universe underscores that theories of influence and observation are not purely speculative, but are grounded in consistent, multi-generational patterns of extraterrestrial engagement, demonstrating a species whose intelligence, technology, and patience far surpass human understanding, and whose presence has shaped the trajectory of post-war civilization in subtle yet profound ways, ensuring that humanity's recovery, adaptation, and cultural evolution are continually monitored, analyzed, and influenced by forces beyond comprehension, challenging all observers to reconcile the evidence with existing paradigms of agency, autonomy, and cosmic interaction, and reinforcing the enduring enigma of alien observation as a defining element of human experience in the irradiated, post-apocalyptic world. Throughout the Fallout universe, scattered alien artifacts and hidden evidence serve as tangible markers of the Zetans' enduring presence, revealing a complex web of observation, experimentation, and technological intervention that spans pre-war America, the immediate aftermath of the Great War, and the ongoing post-apocalyptic reconstruction of human society, with each recovered item, energy signature, or anomalous record, offering unique insight into the scope, intent, and capabilities of extraterrestrial intelligence, and collectively constructing a narrative that challenges conventional understanding of history, technology, and human agency. These artifacts range from partially intact alien craft, such as those found in crash sites across the Mojave and the Capital Wasteland, to smaller, portable devices, including stasis pods, energy cells, and surveillance nodes, all of which display a degree of sophistication far beyond human engineering, featuring self-contained power systems, advanced energy manipulation, and materials resistant to radiation, decay, and mechanical stress, implying that the Zetans' technological reach is both durable and precise, and that the placement or abandonment of these objects is deliberate, forming observational networks capable of monitoring environmental, physiological, and social data over decades or centuries, while leaving only indirect evidence of the species' presence. In addition to physical artifacts, hidden evidence often takes the form of coded terminal entries, holotapes, and pre-war intelligence files, such as those associated with Project Majestic 12, which document alien recovery efforts, experimental procedures, and theoretical frameworks for understanding extraterrestrial physiology and technology, offering a textual complement to the physical remnants and confirming that human authorities, even before the Great War, were aware of and actively attempting to study, reverse engineer, or contain alien influence, albeit with incomplete knowledge and limited success, a reality that underscores both the historical continuity of human-alien interaction and the sophistication of Zetan obfuscation, as many records remain incomplete, corrupted, or intentionally misleading to prevent full comprehension. Energy signatures, anomalous radiation fields, and localized gravitational distortions constitute another form of hidden evidence, providing indirect but measurable confirmation of alien activity in regions where physical artifacts may have decayed, been scavenged, or intentionally removed, as seen in the Mojave crash sites, the Commonwealth glowing sea anomalies, and remote Appalachian forests, where monitoring equipment detects unusual electromagnetic fluxes, sporadic energy pulses, and fluctuations in matter density, all consistent with the operation of alien devices or remnants of advanced technology, and reinforcing the notion that the Zetans maintain surveillance and experimentation through a combination of persistent infrastructure, environmental manipulation, and residual energy systems, even centuries after direct contact. Further supporting the presence of hidden evidence are the cryptid phenomena that populate the post-war landscape, particularly in Appalachia, where entities such as the Mothman, the Flatwoods Monster, and other anomalous creatures appear to serve as biological or biomechanical proxies for observation, integrating both environmental monitoring and human behavioral analysis into a cohesive framework that is difficult to detect, analyze, or predict, yet which provides the Zetans with real-time, adaptive data on human cognition, movement patterns, and social responses to extraordinary events, suggesting that folklore and myth, rather than being mere coincidence or superstition, may be a direct consequence of alien design, deliberately woven into human perception as a means of unobtrusive long-term study. Hidden evidence also includes partially functioning alien technology recovered from post-war ruins, including energy-based weapons, containment pods, propulsion units, and neural interface devices, which, while often unstable or incomplete, demonstrate principles of engineering, energy conversion, and operational efficiency far beyond human comprehension, providing post-war survivors and engineers with opportunities to experiment, adapt, and integrate alien principles into human technology, as exemplified by plasma-based firearms, portable energy cells, and rudimentary force shields, illustrating that even fragmentary knowledge of Zetan artifacts can catalyze significant technological innovation, while simultaneously highlighting the inherent dangers of interacting with devices whose operation remains only partially understood and whose energy output or behavioral protocols can prove lethal if mishandled. Archaeological and exploratory missions have also uncovered hidden repositories, bunkers, and subterranean facilities containing alien artifacts, deliberately concealed or abandoned, indicating a level of strategic foresight on the part of the Zetans in ensuring both the preservation of experimental sites and the controlled dissemination of evidence, allowing human discovery to occur gradually under conditions that provide both safety and observational clarity, effectively transforming wastelands, deserts, and forests into extended laboratories where human curiosity, ingenuity, and adaptation can be studied across generations, while maintaining the integrity of the collected data and minimizing the risk of interference. The cultural impact of these artifacts and hidden evidence is equally significant, as they influence human myth-making, survival strategies, factional power dynamics, and post-war technological development, with communities, scavengers, and organized groups such as the Brotherhood of Steel or the Minutemen interpreting, codifying, or attempting to exploit these items to gain advantage, thereby ensuring that extraterrestrial influence extends beyond the purely scientific or experimental into the social, economic, and political realms, demonstrating that the Zetans' presence is multidimensional, affecting not only human physiology, behavior, and technology, but also culture, narrative, and long-term social organization. Analysis of scattered carvings, relics, and artifacts, some of which predate the Great War, suggests that alien observation of Earth may have begun long before the first documented human encounter, hinting at a continuity of study that spans centuries or millennia, a hypothesis reinforced by the consistent design, energy signatures, and behavioral protocols evident in both Mothership Zeta encounters and terrestrial artifacts, indicating a systematic and longitudinal approach to understanding humanity and its environment, and implying that the Zetans operate with a temporal patience and strategic foresight that dwarfs human comprehension, effectively integrating pre-war, wartime, and post-war events into a cohesive dataset designed to maximize knowledge acquisition while minimizing risk to the observed species. Finally, The synthesis of alien artifacts and hidden evidence across the Fallout universe highlights the profound, enduring, and multifaceted nature of Zetan engagement with humanity, demonstrating that every object, anomaly, and cryptid proxy represents not merely a curiosity or a relic, but a carefully designed component of a comprehensive observational program, encompassing technological, physiological, psychological, and socio-cultural dimensions, and providing both concrete and interpretive material for understanding extraterrestrial strategy, methodology, and intent, revealing that even in the irradiated, post-apocalyptic wastelands, humanity remains subject to meticulous observation, long-term experimentation, and the subtle influence of a civilization from beyond the stars, whose presence has shaped and continues to shape the trajectory of human survival, adaptation, and cultural evolution across the centuries. While the Zetans are the most prominently documented extraterrestrial presence in the Fallout universe, a growing body of evidence, both physical and anecdotal, suggests that they may not be the only species to have observed, interacted with, or influenced humanity, raising the possibility of a more complex cosmic ecosystem in which multiple intelligent civilizations maintain a network of surveillance, experimentation, or contact across time and space, and hinting that the post-apocalyptic world may conceal traces of far broader interstellar interaction than previously recognized, with implications for both human history and future encounters. Reports from survivors, explorers, and post-war factions indicate occasional sightings of anomalous craft, entities, and artifacts that do not conform to the canonical description of the Zetans, including larger or differently shaped UFOs, energy emissions inconsistent with known Zetan technology, and cryptid-like entities whose morphology, behavior, and effects on local ecosystems diverge from those associated with the Mothman, Flatwoods Monster, or previously recovered alien devices, suggesting that other extraterrestrial intelligences may be operating independently or alongside the Zetans, conducting their own observational programs and leaving discrete technological or biological signatures that are subtle, fragmented, and often difficult to distinguish from natural or human-made phenomena. In addition, regional anomalies, such as unexplained electromagnetic disturbances in remote areas, irregular energy pulses in urban ruins, and unidentified debris fields scattered across wastelands, further support the hypothesis that multiple alien species may be monitoring Earth simultaneously, or that the Zetans themselves may be part of a coalition or interstellar network in which responsibilities for observation, experimentation, and interaction are divided among different species, each with its own methodology, technological signature, and experimental focus, a theory reinforced by the diversity of environmental effects and behavioral anomalies associated with non-Zetan artifacts and encounters, which often suggest operational principles, energy patterns, or biological designs inconsistent with canonical Zetan engineering and physiology. Cryptid phenomena, including less studied entities reported in Appalachia, the Mojave, and the Commonwealth, may also serve as indirect evidence for multiple extraterrestrial species, as variations in size, behavior, and interaction with human observers point to the possibility that some beings are either genetically engineered by species other than the Zetans, natural extraterrestrial organisms whose observation has coincided with human presence, or independent alien operatives conducting long-term surveillance, experimentation, or testing within human societies, with the aim of recording behavioral responses. technological adaptation, and cultural evolution across generations, echoing the systematic approaches observed in Zetan abduction protocols, reverse-engineered technologies, and long-term environmental monitoring. Recovered pre-war documentation and holotapes hint at anomalous incidents that do not align neatly with Zetan activity, including reports of craft with energy signatures markedly different from those of Mothership Zeta, and encounters characterized by physical phenomena, biological effects, or behavioral patterns not consistent with prior Zetan abductions, suggesting that other intelligent species may have intermittently visited Earth, either for observational purposes, resource assessment, or experimental interaction, and that such activity may have influenced both human technology and post-war mythology in ways that have gone largely unrecognized, preserved only in fragmented records, survivor accounts, or localized cultural memory. Scholars and field researchers have further hypothesized that these other species may operate on temporal, technological, or ethical frameworks distinct from those of the Zetans, with some evidence suggesting more aggressive experimentation, direct intervention, or ecological manipulation, while others appear to maintain passive observation, relying on stealth, cryptid proxies, or indirect influence to gather data, a diversity of methodology that mirrors the speculative range of interstellar intelligence strategies theorized by pre-war xenobiologists, post-war anthropologists, and contemporary wasteland technologists seeking to understand the full spectrum of extraterrestrial influence. Additional support for the existence of multiple alien species comes from the structural and functional differences observed in recovered alien artifacts, some of which display energy manipulation principles, materials, or designs inconsistent with known Zetan technology, including unusual alloys, anomalous radiation signatures, and patterns of automated operation that suggest alternative engineering paradigms, adaptive control systems, and possibly even sentient or semi-sentient, autonomous functions, raising the possibility that Earth has been the subject of multi-species experimentation with overlapping or sequential observational programs designed to record human adaptation, technological innovation, and social development over extended timescales. Furthermore, the temporal distribution of anomalies, abductions, and sightings, including pre-war incidents documented in classified government files and post-war events recorded by wasteland inhabitants, indicates that multiple species may operate on differing temporal rhythms, with some conducting rapid, targeted observational missions and others maintaining patient, centuries-spanning monitoring systems, a divergence that has resulted in both the preservation of cultural memory through myth and folklore and the introduction of technological artifacts that have significantly influenced human adaptation, survival strategies, and factional power dynamics, demonstrating that extraterrestrial influence in the Fallout universe is multifaceted, layered, and persistent. Philosophical implications of the potential presence of multiple species are profound, suggesting that humanity may occupy a complex position within a broader interstellar framework, where survival, behavior, and technological progress are continuously observed, measured, and recorded by a variety of extraterrestrial intelligences, each with its own objectives, methods, and levels of intervention, and that human agency, autonomy, and cultural evolution are, at least in part, shaped by these unseen observers, creating a dynamic in which human history is simultaneously self-directed and subtly influenced, a duality that challenges conventional notions of independence, causality, and responsibility in the post-apocalyptic context. Finally, while the Zetans remain the most well-documented and studied extraterrestrial species in the Fallout universe, the cumulative evidence from anomalous sightings, cryptid phenomena, non-Zetan artifacts, pre-war documentation, and environmental anomalies strongly supports the hypothesis that other intelligent civilizations have observed, interacted with, or experimented on humanity at various points in history, raising the possibility that Earth is not only a laboratory for a single species, but a nexus of interstellar surveillance and study, where multiple intelligences, each with distinct objectives, methodologies, and technological capabilities, contribute to the complex, layered, and enduring narrative of extraterrestrial influence, observation, and potential interaction, ensuring that the post-apocalyptic world, far from being isolated or purely human-centered, remains an active stage for cosmic scrutiny, experimentation, and interspecies engagement, and challenging all observers to consider the breadth, diversity, and enduring implications of intelligent life beyond the stars. The trajectory of humanity in the Fallout universe, when considered alongside the persistent and pervasive presence of extraterrestrial observers, such as the Zetans, and the possible existence of other interstellar intelligences, invites a profound reflection on the cosmic implications of survival, adaptation, and technological evolution in a post-apocalyptic context, where every decision, innovation, and cultural development is potentially recorded, analyzed, and interpreted by forces whose intelligence, patience, and technological capabilities far exceed human comprehension, and where the remnants of the Great War, coupled with the ongoing struggles of rebuilding societies, resource management, and interfactional conflict, serve as both a crucible and a laboratory for the evaluation of human resilience, ingenuity, and ethical capacity. In this setting, the study of humanity by extraterrestrial species is not merely passive observation, but constitutes a continuous, multi-dimensional engagement, encompassing physiological, psychological, social, and technological dimensions. With every post-war settlement, every scavenger expedition, and every emerging technological innovation contributing to a vast, longitudinal dataset that spans decades and even centuries, documenting the capacity of humans to survive, adapt, and innovate under conditions of extreme environmental stress, societal collapse, and scarcity, and providing the observing species with insights into the broader patterns of human behavior, cultural evolution, and cognitive development. The post-war technological landscape, in particular, illustrates the interplay between human innovation and extraterrestrial influence, as reverse-engineered alien devices, energy weapons, neural interface technologies, and environmental manipulation tools have not only enhanced human capability, but also redefined the possibilities for survival, defense, and reconstruction, demonstrating that contact with extraterrestrial technology, even indirectly through abandoned or partially recovered artifacts, has catalyzed leaps in scientific understanding, engineering adaptation, and strategic problem-solving, while simultaneously highlighting the limitations, risks, and ethical considerations inherent in interacting with technologies designed by beings of superior knowledge and operational foresight. Culturally and socially, the ongoing presence of extraterrestrial observers has left an indelible mark on human myth, folklore, and collective consciousness, as cryptid phenomena, anomalous environmental events, and unexplained encounters have been integrated into the narratives of wasteland societies, influencing settlement patterns, decision-making, interfactional relations, and even governance structures, creating a feedback loop in which human perception, legend, and adaptation are both shaped by and contribute to the objectives of alien study, transforming the wasteland itself into a living archive of human resilience, ingenuity, and social evolution, observable, interpretable, and analyzable by extraterrestrial intelligence in ways that transcend temporal and spatial constraints. The philosophical implications of this dynamic are profound, as humanity must reconcile the existence of forces that monitor, influence, and potentially manipulate behavior over extended timescales, challenging traditional notions of free will, autonomy, and moral responsibility, and reframing the post-apocalyptic world as a theater not only of survival and reconstruction, but also of interspecies observation and interaction in which human actions are simultaneously meaningful in their own right and significant within a broader cosmic framework of intelligence, experimentation, and ethical evaluation. Strategically, the enduring extraterrestrial presence compels humanity to consider the implications of future technological development, interstellar awareness, and potential contact, recognizing that mastery of alien-derived technologies, ecological management, and societal cohesion may determine not only post-war survival, but also the ability to engage with, resist, or collaborate with other intelligent species, raising questions about the trajectory of human civilization beyond the confines of Earth, and the potential for participation in a larger interstellar community, whether as a monitored subject, a partner, or an autonomous actor capable of influencing interstellar dynamics through ingenuity, cooperation, and resilience. The study of alien artifacts, reverse-engineered devices, and observed behavioral patterns also provides insights into potential pathways for humanity's engagement with extraterrestrial intelligences, revealing both the promises and perils of interaction, as technology and knowledge can catalyze societal advancement, defensive capability, and survival, yet may also expose humanity to risks of misapplication, environmental disruption, or strategic vulnerability, necessitating careful stewardship, ethical consideration, and the cultivation of adaptive, resilient social and technological frameworks capable of both absorbing and responding to information of incomprehensible sophistication. The cumulative evidence of extraterrestrial observation, from pre-war Project Majestic 12 to post-war encounters in Appalachia, the Mojave, the Commonwealth, and the Capital Wasteland, indicates a continuous, multi-generational study of humanity where every artifact, anomaly, and cryptid encounter functions as a data point within a broader analytical structure designed to assess human behavior under extreme and variable conditions, creating a unique historical and scientific record that spans centuries, integrates environmental, technological, and social data, and ensures that humanity's adaptation, recovery, and evolution are observed not in isolation but as part of a broader interstellar schema in which the stakes of survival, ingenuity, and ethical decision-making are magnified by the presence of intelligence capable of understanding and measuring outcomes on a cosmic scale. Looking to the future, humanity's position within this interstellar observational paradigm may evolve, depending on the ability to integrate knowledge derived from reverse-engineered technology, environmental understanding, and social cohesion, potentially allowing humans to transition from passive subjects of observation to active participants in a cosmic network of intelligence, exploration, and interaction, Though such a transition would require sustained innovation, strategic foresight, ethical deliberation, and an understanding of the enduring patterns and capabilities of extraterrestrial species, whose presence has shaped post-apocalyptic history, culture, and technological development in ways both overt and subtle, and whose patient, meticulous study of human resilience, creativity, and adaptability continues to inform the broader narrative of life on Earth in the Fallout universe. Ultimately, the cosmic future of humanity, as observed from the perspective of extraterrestrial intelligences and informed by post-war adaptation, technological progress, and cultural evolution, is simultaneously precarious, promising, and profoundly significant, reflecting a species capable of extraordinary resilience and ingenuity in the face of devastation, yet continuously measured against the standards, methodologies, and objectives of beings whose understanding of the universe, life, and technology far exceeds human capability, creating a dynamic interplay between observation, adaptation, and potential interstellar integration, and offering a narrative in which the survival, innovation, and ethical maturation of humanity are not only crucial to immediate post-apocalyptic reconstruction, but also pivotal in determining the broader trajectory of human engagement, influence, and destiny within a universe populated by intelligences from beyond the stars. A reality that situates the Fallout universe not only as a story of survival after nuclear devastation, but as a continuing chapter in the ongoing, complex, and profoundly consequential relationship between humanity and the cosmos.